What's up guys, Swift Rick here with another Destiny video, and in this video I'm going to give you guys some tips for competitive but for those who are solo queuing. Now before we get into that, I just want to say thank you guys for helping me get back to 1,000 subscribers. That's right, I said back because I used to be at 1,000 subscribers and then I didn't make a video for a long time and people unsubscribed, but now I'm back to 1,000. Thank you guys, and I'm gonna try to be more consistent. I just recently moved to a new place, so I'm gonna be trying to make more consistent videos, which will include Destiny, but I'll also be making videos for Apex Legends, maybe some Fortnite, and possibly some other games. But I have a lot of fun with Apex Legends right now as well, so I'll be making videos for both Destiny and other games. Now back to the video. So before the last season ended, I was able to grind out competitive and get the Mountaintop, but I did it all only solo queuing. But not only was I able to get the Mountaintop, but I also at one point was able to get 17 wins in a row while solo queuing competitive. So I decided I should make a video to give tips on solo queuing. Now I know this is not the point of the video, but my first thought on the Mountaintop is it's not that good. It's very inconsistent. Sometimes when I shoot someone, it barely leaves them alive, and other times it kills them. And I heard they're gonna buff this and make the blast radius bigger, so I'm not gonna make any review video for this weapon until they buff it. But currently I definitely wouldn't really feel like I'd be using it over hand cannon shotgun, or I wouldn't use it seriously in a competitive scene. That might just be me, but we'll see. After they buff it, I'll definitely try and see if I can make a review for that weapon. But now back to the point of this video, which is tips for solo queuing. I'll also make some tips for just general competitive for everybody, but I'll mostly try to aim it towards tips for solo queues. Now my first tip for you would be, since you're solo queuing, you want to be working with your teammates. You have to put in the work to work well with your teammates. So what I mean by that is you will basically be having to plan around what your teammates are doing, and a good way to do this is using your radar. So what I usually do is I follow my teammates. I see where they're going and then I plan out what to do next. I kind of try to envision what their plan is without actually communicating with them, because I never used the mic throughout this whole solo queue, which I do recommend that you should use a mic, but I didn't, just to kind of let you guys know that you don't need a mic, but I feel like it probably would help you more if you had a mic. But I never used the mic. What I did is just use the radar. I see where they're positioning themselves, which paths they're taking, and I plan what to do from there. Usually I would follow them and just try to team fire with them, but at times I did notice that the enemies were just holding a position down very well and my teammates weren't able to push through. So in moments like that, that's when I did go for a flank, and I kind of paid attention to the position of my team and the enemies. So when I flanked, I paid attention to my teammates' position, and when I noticed them going in for the fight, that's when I pushed the enemy side when they're distracted, and I'd flank and kill them. So basically, use your radar to see the position of your teammates and enemies and plan from there. Because if you just go running around, no one's talking to you unless you're using a mic. But if you're not like I was, no one's talking to you, no one's planning anything out. So you gotta do your job in paying attention to where your teammates are and working with them. Because even when you solo queue, team play is still important. Radar is just very useful when your team isn't using mics, just because, like I said before, since you guys can't communicate with each other about everything, basically the only thing that helps you with positioning is the radar. So you need to figure out a good balance between looking at the radar and looking at your screen. Usually what I do is look at the radar until it turns red, and then I start looking at my screen towards the area where the enemies are at. It just takes kind of some practice to get used to, but you need to find a good balance between looking at the radar and looking at your screen, since you need the radar to figure out information about the enemies and your teammates. Next, I want to give you guys one quick tip for the map on Meltdown. If you ever play on Meltdown and you're playing control, you want to have control of A and B. It's a lot easier to protect A and B than it is to protect C and B. So you'll notice that if you have A and B flag, usually the enemy team will try to flank around the outside to go grab A, and then from there they try to go and get B. So then they can kind of have the advantage of having the better side. So you want to be paying attention to enemy flankers, and you want to be sure that you guys have A and B. I'm not saying that it's impossible to win with C and B, but it's definitely harder in my opinion. Now, the next tip I want to give you guys is when you're following your teammates, don't follow them right beside each other everywhere they go. It's more just kind of like follow their general direction, because there's a lot of moments I noticed where the enemy team would follow each other, but they'd literally follow each other like side by side and pushing at the same time side by side, especially in choke points. You don't want to do this in choke points, because if you all push in together in choke points, then you could be destroyed by like one grenade. As you can see in this clip right here, the whole team pushed in this choke point and I was almost able to wipe their whole team by myself. So you want to be careful not to just push in all super close together at all times. Kind of spread a bit more just to make it harder for the enemy team to shoot all of you guys. Now, the next tip I have for you guys that's more of a general tip for PvP is to use natural cover. What I mean by this is to try to have natural cover close to you when you fight enemies. And by natural cover, I mean anything like rocks able to block your whole body, or walls, or anything physical that can block enemy bullets from hitting you. This way you can have a quick defense if you feel like you're gonna die. So instead of just running out and shooting at an enemy, you should be close to natural cover, so then if you notice that you're losing the fight, you can quickly hide behind natural cover and try to recover your health. And speaking of natural cover, it's also good to use natural cover when you're pushing an enemy with your super. It's never a good idea to go a straight pathway towards enemies while you're in your super. Even though you have extra armor, they can all still team fire you and shut you down. So what I do is when I use Nova Warp, I dash behind cover while I'm dashing towards them if there's cover. If there's natural cover, I usually dash around it to try to hide from their bullets and then come out and shoot them. If there's no natural cover, then I just zigzag while I'm going towards them instead of dashing straight at them, just to make it harder for them and make them miss shots on me. But that's why I think it's really good to use natural cover when you're pushing with the super as well, so then you don't get shut down by the enemy team. Now, next I have a general tip for you guys when an enemy is pushing you with their super. Usually, especially when you're solo queuing and you can't communicate with your teammates through the mic, it's better to just run away from the enemy if they pop their super, unless you have heavy ammo like Wardcliffe coil. But if not, then you should just run, because since you're solo queuing, you can't talk to each other and say, hey, let's all team fire him and kill him, because usually when you're queued up with a whole squad and you're communicating, you can do that. You can all say, hey, let's just back up over here and wait for them to pop out and then just team fire them and shut them down. But on solo queue, since you can't plan ahead, it's better to just run away, because if you assume that you're all gonna shoot and then you don't all shoot, then you're just gonna die. So you want to play it safe and just run, because if it's only you and one other teammate that tries to team fire, usually you won't be able to do it. You usually need a whole squad trying to shoot down an enemy super to be able to shut it down. But if an enemy pops the super really close to you and you have little time to react, then that's when I think it is a good idea to try to shoot them and shut them down, because you won't have enough time to just run away. And there's moments where I'm able to do that, you know, up close when someone uses their super. I pull out my shotgun and just spray as much as I can before they kill me, or I'm able to kill them off. But that's my tips on how to react when an enemy uses their super against you. Now, my next tip for you guys is if you're able to get an enemy weak, but they run behind cover and start running away, I know it's very tempting to try to chase them and finish them off, but sometimes, most of the time, that's actually not a good idea, because they usually run back to their teammates. So they kind of bait you out, and the enemy teammates know that you're going to be coming to try to finish them off, so then they team fire you and pick you off and you die. So it's better just not to chase down a weak enemy if they're able to run away and go to their teammates. Just stay back and continue working with your team to beat the enemies. Next, I'm going to give you guys some quick tips for how to use the Telesto and some quick tips for the Nova grenade. So for the Telesto, even though they did nerf it a bit where it takes a little longer to charge up, I still feel like it's a very good weapon for competitive. So I decided to give you guys a quick tip for it, since it's very, very useful and competitive. So what you want to do with the Telesto is usually you want to try your best to charge it up behind natural cover, which is another good reason natural cover is very important, is you begin to charge up the Telesto behind cover and then you poke out and shoot the burst of bullets from the Telesto at the enemies. That way you don't have to stand out in the open for a long time trying to charge it and leave yourself vulnerable to the enemies to shoot you down, because usually the enemies can kill you on time before you shoot it if you start charging it out in the open. But if you charge it behind cover and you poke out only when it shoots, they have no time to shoot you and you release a lot of damage instantly instantly while they can only shoot you once with a bullet. So you're basically able to out damage them instantly in that one moment. Another tip that I can give for Telesto is don't be afraid to miss, because as you know, the Telesto leaves little explosives onto whatever it hits, and that itself is enough to kill enemies. So usually what I do is I just look at my radar. If I see someone in a general area by a wall or anywhere close enough for me to poke out and shoot a little Telesto shot at them, I go for it. And even if I know I'm gonna miss, I don't care. I kind of just shoot it at the floor, at the wall near them, because usually they forget about it, they don't pay attention to those bullets, and they walk past it and they die. And because of this play style where I don't care if I miss, I make sure that I have armor that has fusion rifle scavenger, because if you don't have fusion rifle scavenger and you play like how I play, where I shoot and not care if I miss or not, then you'll run out of ammo and not be able to get more ammo if you don't get the kill. But with fusion rifle scavenger, you pick up one block and you get like 2 or 3 extra fusion rifle bullets. So then that, for me, I have so much in my reserves that if I miss, it doesn't matter because I still have a lot more ammo. So that's everything for the Telesto. Now I want to talk about the Nova grenade. A little cool thing that I learned last competitive season is with the Nova grenade, you can actually be standing, charge it up, and then when you hold the grenade to charge it up, you can actually start jumping around and floating around. This is very useful because there's moments where someone's above me or positioned somewhere away from me and I need to get close and close the gap or jump up and be able to see them. So then I charge the grenade and then I use focus burst to jump around and move myself around to be able to shoot it at them. So it's very useful. Back in the day, I thought when you start charging the grenade, you're not able to jump or anything, or else it would cancel. But then I realized that you can jump around and focus burst and glide around when you're charging up the Nova grenade. So that's all the tips I have for you guys, especially for those who wants to solo queue in competitive. If you haven't seen my previous video, I also give more tips on how to win competitive matches. So make sure to check that out for more tips. But other than that, that's everything I got for you guys. So if you guys found this helpful, make sure you hit the like button. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. Also, I do stream on Twitch, so make sure you follow me on Twitch. If you haven't, I have a link down in the description. Maybe one day I'll stream on YouTube and see how that goes. Also made an Instagram recently. I'll have that link down in the description as well. I'll be posting cool little clips on there. But yeah, thank you guys again for watching the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.